Your tomato leaves are turning yellow, and in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why this is happening and how to fix each cause in 30 seconds or less. This isn't another generic gardening advice video that tells you to check your watering. I'm going to walk you through the 5 specific reasons tomato leaves yellow, how to identify each one with a simple visual test, and give you the exact solution that works every single time. But here's what most gardeners don't realize. Yellow leaves aren't just a cosmetic problem. They're your plant's way of telling you something is seriously wrong. And if you don't address the real cause quickly, you'll lose not just the leaves, but the entire plant. By the end of this, you'll be able to diagnose and solve yellow leaf problems faster than most garden center experts. Yellow tomato leaves are the most searched gardening problem on the internet, yet 90% of the advice out there misses the mark completely. Garden centers will sell you expensive fertilizers without knowing what's actually wrong. YouTube videos give you 20 possible causes without telling you how to tell them apart. And meanwhile, your plants are getting worse every day. The truth is, there are only 5 real causes of yellow tomato leaves, and each one has a specific pattern, a simple test, and a quick fix that works. Once you know what to look for, you can solve yellow leaf problems in minutes instead of weeks. The reason this problem is so misunderstood is that yellow leaves look the same from a distance, but up close, each cause creates a completely different pattern. It's like being a detective. The evidence is all there in the leaf pattern, the timing, the location on the plant, and the condition of the surrounding tissue. Most gardeners never learn to read these clues, so they end up guessing and applying the wrong solutions, which often makes the problem worse. The first cause is nitrogen deficiency, and it has a very specific signature. The yellowing starts with the oldest, lowest leaves on the plant and moves upward over time. The yellowing is uniform across the entire leaf, starting from the tip and edges and moving inward. The leaf doesn't develop spots or patches. It just gradually turns from green to pale yellow to completely yellow before dropping off. The plant looks healthy otherwise, but it's slowly eating itself from the bottom up. Here's your 30-second test. Look at which leaves are affected. If it's only the bottom leaves and the yellowing is even across the whole leaf surface, you're dealing with nitrogen deficiency. The plant is moving nitrogen from the old leaves to feed the new growth, which is why the bottom goes yellow first. This is actually normal to some extent, but if it's happening rapidly or affecting more than the bottom 2 or 3 sets of leaves, your plant is starving. The 30-second fix is simple. Give your tomatoes a nitrogen boost. Mix 1 tablespoon of fish emulsion or liquid fertilizer in a gallon of water and pour it around the base of each plant. You'll see the yellowing stop within days, and new green growth will be noticeably darker. Don't overdo it, though. Too much nitrogen creates lush green plants that don't flower or fruit well. 1 application should solve the problem for several weeks. The second cause looks similar but feels completely different. Overwatering. The leaves turn yellow, but they also feel soft and limp. They don't have the crisp, dry feeling of nitrogen-deficient leaves. Instead, they're yellow and droopy at the same time, and the soil around the plant stays constantly moist. You might also notice a sour smell coming from the soil, which indicates anaerobic conditions and root rot. Your 30-second test is the finger test. Stick your finger 2 inches into the soil near the plant. If it's soggy, muddy, or stays wet, even when you haven't watered for 2 days, you're overwatering. Waterlogged soil prevents roots from getting oxygen, which causes the same yellow leaf symptoms as nutrient deficiency, but the underlying problem is completely different. The 30-second fix: stop watering immediately and improve drainage. If your plants are in containers, make sure water can drain out the bottom. If they're in garden beds, you might need to add compost or sand to improve soil structure. For immediate relief, gently loosen the soil around the plants with a hand fork to allow air to reach the roots. The yellowing should stop within a week as the roots recover. Have you checked which leaves are turning yellow on your tomatoes? Drop a comment letting me know if it's top leaves, bottom leaves, or scattered throughout the plant. The third cause is early blight, a fungal disease that creates a very distinctive pattern. Unlike the uniform yellowing of nitrogen deficiency or overwatering, early blight causes brown spots with yellow halos around them. The spots start small but grow larger over time, often developing concentric rings that look like bullseye targets. The yellowing spreads outward from these spots, and eventually the entire leaf turns yellow and drops off. Your 30-second test: look for brown spots with yellow borders. Early blight typically starts on the lower leaves and works its way up the plant, but the presence of brown spots surrounded by yellow tissue is the dead giveaway. The spots usually appear after periods of warm, humid weather, or when leaves stay wet for extended periods. The 30-second fix: remove affected leaves immediately and dispose of them in the trash, not the compost pile. Spray the remaining foliage with a baking soda solution, 1 teaspoon of baking soda per quart of water, with a drop of dish soap to help it stick. Apply this in the evening to avoid leaf burn. The fungicide spray stops the spread of the disease, and removing infected leaves prevents reinfection. The fourth cause is magnesium deficiency, which creates one of the most distinctive patterns you'll see on tomato plants. The leaves turn yellow, but the veins stay green, creating a striped or mottled appearance. This pattern usually appears on older leaves first, similar to nitrogen deficiency, but the green veins make it unmistakable. The yellowing often starts between the leaf veins and gradually spreads outward. Your 30-second test is visual. Yellow leaves with green veins means magnesium deficiency, period. This problem is more common in container-grown tomatoes and in areas with sandy soil that doesn't hold minerals well. You might also notice that the yellow areas eventually turn brown and crispy around the edges as the deficiency becomes more severe. The 30-second fix: dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt in a gallon of water and water each plant with this solution. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and it provides the exact nutrient your plants are missing. You should see improvement in the existing leaves within a week, and new growth will be consistently green. You can repeat this treatment monthly during the growing season to prevent recurrence. If this information is helping you diagnose your tomato problems, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. We're covering the most common garden problems with specific solutions you can implement immediately. The fifth and final cause is transplant shock, and it's often misdiagnosed because it happens at a very specific time. The yellowing occurs within the first week after transplanting tomato seedlings into the garden. The leaves turn yellow suddenly, often starting with the lower leaves, and the plant looks generally stressed and droopy. This happens because the roots were damaged or disturbed during transplanting, and the plant can't take up water and nutrients efficiently. Your 30-second test: timing is everything. If yellow leaves appear within 5 to 7 days of transplanting and your tomatoes were healthy before the move, you're dealing with transplant shock. The plant will also typically look wilted or stressed overall, not just yellow in specific areas. The 30-second fix: be patient and provide gentle care. Water the plants lightly but consistently, keeping the soil moist but not soggy. You can also apply a dilute liquid fertilizer, about half the recommended strength, to help the plants recover. Most importantly, give them time. Transplant shock usually resolves itself within 2 weeks as the roots establish in their new location. Removing the most severely yellowed leaves helps the plant redirect energy to recovery. The key to solving yellow leaf problems permanently is understanding that each cause requires a different solution. Applying nitrogen fertilizer to an overwatered plant makes the problem worse. Watering a nitrogen-deficient plant more frequently doesn't help at all. Using fungicide on magnesium-deficient plants is pointless. This is why generic advice fails so often. You need to identify the specific cause before applying any treatment. Prevention is always better than treatment when it comes to tomato health. Consistent watering practices prevent both overwatering and underwatering stress. Proper spacing between plants improves air circulation and reduces fungal disease pressure. Regular feeding with a balanced fertilizer prevents nutrient deficiencies before they cause visible symptoms, and careful transplanting techniques minimize root damage that leads to transplant shock. The timing of when yellow leaves appear tells you a lot about the cause. Nitrogen deficiency develops gradually over weeks as the plant depletes stored nutrients. Overwatering symptoms appear quickly, within days of soil becoming waterlogged. Fungal diseases like early blight develop over a week or two, usually after environmental conditions favor fungal growth. Magnesium deficiency appears gradually, similar to nitrogen deficiency, but with the distinctive vein pattern. Transplant shock happens immediately, within the first week of moving plants. Understanding these timeframes helps you connect cause and effect. If your tomatoes were fine last week and suddenly developed yellow leaves after 3 days of rain, you're probably dealing with overwatering or the start of a fungal disease. If the yellowing has been slowly progressing for several weeks, starting from the bottom of the plant, you're looking at a nutrient deficiency. The location of yellowing also provides crucial diagnostic information. Bottom-up yellowing indicates either nitrogen deficiency or a fungal disease, but the presence or absence of brown spots distinguishes between them. Yellowing that appears randomly throughout the plant or starts from the top often indicates environmental stress like transplant shock or extreme temperature fluctuations. Uniform yellowing across the entire plant usually means a systemic problem like overwatering or severe nutrient deficiency. Environmental factors play a huge role in yellow leaf development. Hot, humid weather encourages fungal diseases. Inconsistent watering stresses plants and can trigger multiple problems simultaneously. Poor soil drainage creates conditions for both overwatering and fungal disease. Cold weather slows nutrient uptake even when nutrients are present in the soil. Understanding these connections helps you prevent problems before they start. The relationship between different yellow leaf causes means that solving one problem often prevents others. Improving soil drainage prevents overwatering and reduces fungal disease pressure. Consistent fertilizing prevents nutrient deficiencies that weaken plants and make them more susceptible to disease. Proper spacing and air circulation reduce humidity around plants, making fungal problems less likely. Advanced gardeners learn to read early warning signs before yellow leaves appear. Slight darkening of leaf color often precedes nitrogen deficiency. Soil that stays moist longer than usual warns of drainage problems before overwatering becomes severe. Small brown spots on leaves are easier to treat than large infected areas. Recognizing these early signs allows you to address problems before they become serious. The economic impact of yellow leaf problems extends beyond just losing a few leaves. Stressed plants produce smaller fruits, fewer fruits, and are more susceptible to other problems. A plant that loses significant foliage due to disease or deficiency may not recover enough to produce a good harvest. Prevention and early treatment are much more cost-effective than trying to save severely damaged plants. Different tomato varieties show different susceptibility to yellow leaf problems. Heirloom varieties often have less disease resistance than modern hybrids, but may be more tolerant of nutrient deficiencies. Determinate varieties that produce all their fruit at once are more sensitive to any stress during their critical fruiting period. Indeterminate varieties that fruit continuously can often recover from early problems if treated promptly. The soil type in your garden affects how often you'll encounter different yellow leaf causes. Clay soils drain poorly and make overwatering more likely. Sandy soils drain quickly, but don't hold nutrients well, making deficiencies more common. Compacted soils prevent proper root development and water penetration. Understanding your soil type helps you anticipate and prevent problems. Container-grown tomatoes face different challenges than garden-planted ones. Containers can dry out quickly, requiring more frequent watering, but they also drain better, reducing overwatering risk. Nutrients in containers get depleted faster because they can't be replenished naturally from surrounding soil. Container plants are also more susceptible to temperature stress because the roots are above ground level. Seasonal variations affect yellow leaf problems differently. Early season transplant shock is common when gardeners are eager to plant, but conditions aren't quite stable. Mid-season nutrient deficiencies develop as plants deplete soil nutrients during peak growth. Late-season fungal diseases become more common as humidity increases and plants become more crowded and stressed. Weather patterns significantly influence yellow leaf development. Extended rainy periods create ideal conditions for fungal diseases and overwatering problems. Drought stress weakens plants and makes them more susceptible to pest and disease problems. Temperature fluctuations stress plants and can trigger multiple problems simultaneously. Understanding these patterns helps you anticipate and prevent problems. The progression of yellow leaf problems follows predictable patterns that help with both diagnosis and treatment timing. Nutrient deficiencies start slowly and gradually worsen if untreated. Fungal diseases often appear suddenly after favorable weather conditions and spread rapidly if not controlled. Environmental stress like transplant shock peaks quickly and then gradually improves with time and proper care. Recovery time varies significantly depending on the cause and severity of yellow leaf problems. Nutrient deficiencies often show improvement within days of proper fertilization, with full recovery in 1 to 2 weeks. Fungal diseases may take longer to resolve, requiring several weeks of consistent treatment. Transplant shock typically resolves within 2 weeks, but may take longer if root damage was severe. Monitoring techniques help you track recovery and prevent recurrence. Regular inspection of leaves, especially the pattern and location of any yellowing, helps you catch problems early. Soil moisture checks prevent both over- and underwatering. Growth monitoring shows whether treatments are working. Keeping simple records helps you identify patterns and improve your prevention strategies. The integration of yellow leaf diagnosis into overall tomato care creates a more successful growing strategy. Understanding that healthy plants resist problems better motivates consistent care practices. Recognizing early warning signs allows preventive treatment rather than crisis management. Building soil health through composting and proper nutrition creates plants that can handle stress better. Advanced diagnostic techniques help with difficult cases where multiple factors may be involved. Soil testing can confirm suspected nutrient deficiencies and reveal pH problems that affect nutrient availability. Professional disease diagnosis may be necessary for unusual fungal problems. Understanding when to seek help versus continuing self-treatment saves time and plants. The prevention-focused approach to tomato growing reduces yellow leaf problems significantly. Choosing disease-resistant varieties appropriate for your climate reduces fungal disease pressure. Improving soil before planting prevents many nutrient and drainage problems. Establishing consistent care routines prevents stress that leads to multiple problems. This proactive approach is more effective and less work than constantly treating problems. Long-term soil health improvements address the root causes of many yellow leaf problems. Building organic matter improves both drainage in clay soils and water retention in sandy soils. Establishing proper pH ensures nutrient availability even when nutrients are present. Encouraging beneficial soil organisms creates a buffer against disease and stress. These improvements benefit not just tomatoes, but all garden plants. The broader garden ecosystem affects tomato health and yellow leaf problems. Companion planting with basil, marigolds, and other beneficial plants can reduce pest and disease pressure. Crop rotation prevents soil-borne disease buildup. Maintaining habitat for beneficial insects provides natural pest control. Understanding these connections helps create a garden where yellow leaf problems are rare. Here's the truth about tomato growing. Yellow leaves are almost always preventable with proper understanding and care. The 5 causes I've outlined today represent 95% of all yellow leaf problems. Once you know how to identify and treat each one, you'll rarely lose plants to these issues. More importantly, you'll develop the confidence to grow tomatoes successfully year after year, producing abundant harvests instead of struggling with constant problems. The transformation from reactive problem solving to proactive plant care makes gardening more enjoyable and more productive. Instead of panicking when you see yellow leaves, you'll calmly assess the situation, identify the cause, and apply the appropriate fix. Instead of losing plants to preventable problems, you'll maintain healthy plants that produce abundant fruit. Instead of spending money on unnecessary treatments, you'll invest in the right solutions at the right time. Remember that becoming skilled at diagnosing plant problems is like developing any other expertise. It takes practice and observation, but the basic principles are straightforward. Start with these 5 common causes of yellow leaves. Practice identifying them in your own garden and build confidence in your diagnostic abilities. Over time, you'll develop the intuitive understanding that experienced gardeners possess. The satisfaction of correctly diagnosing and fixing plant problems is one of gardening's great rewards. When you see yellow leaves stop spreading and new green growth emerge after your treatment, you'll know you've mastered an essential gardening skill. When you prevent problems before they start through proper care, you'll experience the joy of growing healthy, productive plants that reward your knowledge with abundant harvests. Your tomatoes are depending on you to read their signals correctly and respond appropriately. Now you have the knowledge to do exactly that. The 5 causes, 5 tests, and 5 fixes I've shared today will solve the vast majority of yellow leaf problems you'll ever encounter. Use this information to transform your tomato growing from a series of crises into a confident, successful gardening practice that produces the healthy plants and abundant harvests you've always wanted. Which of these 5 causes matches what you're seeing in your garden right now? Drop a comment and let me know what your diagnosis is. And if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe for more specific, actionable gardening solutions that actually work. Because understanding exactly what's wrong is always the first step to making it right.